All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Sean Day, but actually, it's now officially Bear Day. We have Sean
Big,
on. We're
big
sitting
dirty bear.
we're sitting at 21,630, so that's a $2,000 to $3,000 value drop over the last what week?
Couple of days. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how are you today, Sean?
I'm in good form, guys. It's grey and miserable in Ireland, and same as ever. Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I now have two Guinness drinking sessions sorted, one for tomorrow and one for Sunday. So life is returning to normal. Returning to normal.
Oh,
Nice.
that's awesome. That's awesome. That's great to hear, man. That's great to hear. So, we got a couple of things to talk about with you today. First, I guess we can climb into what you're seeing in the market. You've put some of that in the Telegram for anybody that hasn't joined yet. It's t.me/mission DeFi, t.me/mission DeFi. Please join the conversation. We're having fun over there. It's a nice little intimate group right now. And you've made some posts over there about where you think we are, but let's dive into that, and then we'll maybe get into some of your experiences in the DeFi world as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess first thing, well, I'm not an emotional trader, okay, and at all, because emotions in this game tend to print red P&L, and I don't think this is particularly a time for bears to be celebrating just yet. If you look on the monthly charts here, sorry, Brad, if you could share my screen, dude.
Sorry about that. There you go.
So if you look at the monthly charts, okay, we'd a month up, and we're starting a retrace or a dump. But again, just to kind of re-stress, there should be nothing unexpected here. Let me put this in white so it's a bit more visible. Excuse me. Some of the stuff we touched on, the price reaches decision points. And, on a monthly basis, there are kind of two decision points we should be interested in. So we got to pump up to the first one at, 23 and change. So far, we're rejecting off that. So since prices is now moving down, we should be looking at what levels are of interest at different time frames. Because, there's not an unusual case to be made that we come down, hit support, and then we take off. Retrace is a part of the game.
Right.
I personally, again, as I said, I don't think the bear market's over. But if we go to weeklies, it becomes slightly more obvious. So if you look at where we are in a weekly currently, we've hit this decision point, which is yellow.
Right.
Okay. So again, I recommend anybody when they're looking at this, you can see we've got two decision points. So we've hit this. And what we can see if we zoom in into this weekly, let me get rid of these bloody things here, is that we rejected off the monthly. We come down and we're fucking around the weekly now. But what we do have is we have support. We're beginning to enter a range of support. So we've got support here, here, and here. And if the bears are to be serious about the continuation of the bear market, then we're going to have to take these out at some point. I think personally, if we lose this one, we've got thin air. We're going to revert all the way back down to 15, 16.
Right.
Okay. So for me, again, this is critical that we rejected from anybody with a bear bias in the market, which I retain. The next focus now becomes in saying, okay, we couldn't flip any of these resistances. Can we start flipping some of these supports? So so far, so good. What I would say as well from a bearish bias is that if you look at the range, we had this range for 20 days. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Actually, let me just put this in a slightly different color. So we developed this range, which we were discussing last week. The range lasted 20 days, and that was the range. Again, very well respected at 4 hours. What you would expect of the bear is from somewhere here that we're going to go up and test this, and then I would expect to puke. Yeah. So I think we're probably going to range around here for a while. We don't have to, but Again, how price actually works is it does a move, establishes a range, does a move, establishes a range. So I think we establish a range here or here. A bearish retest of the breakdown would always be possible. And what I will be doing is once we've established a range, it's very early to be establishing a range. We've got a weekend, we've got CPI prints next Tuesday, is I will then revert back to the material indicator stuff and see, are we accumulating or distributing? It is my opinion, hasn't changed, which is that the bottom of the market remains way down. If the bulls manage to get back into range here, this will be highly bullish. Okay, so typically if you break down a range and you re-enter it at a decent time frame, like on a daily or something, then all of a sudden I think the bulls have a case. I'm not buying any dips. I would not be comfortable buying any dips. I think that this whole thing was a massive bull trap. I think the TA at different time scales supports that, and the trading data supports that. But the invalidation here of the bearish view is very simple: a re-entry back into this chop range. If that happens, then the bears are in trouble. But I expect us to establish a range somewhere here, do a bit of chopping, and then ultimately, if we lose this, or when we lose this, in my mind, it's just thin air all the way back. There's nothing between. You can see this has been established already. It was thin air here, it was thin air back, and if we lose this again, it's thin air. We're going all the way back down to the bottom here before we begin to hit any real support.
Yeah, so, makes sense. And you've been calling this for literally months. So,
I mean, I don't mean to be, I told you so, and I'm not. I don't trade like that. But this is literally the same chart I've been showing on this show for a year.
Right.
Yeah, which was okay. The exact position of D may move. This remains my market view. It's easily invalidated again by taking a level here, but I have no reason to currently to think that this is not going to play out this way. So I do expect, we will bounce, at higher time frames, still around this 13, but I think the bottom is a long way down. So I remain bearish. I will do, and again, a bit of advice to anybody who's kind of into the trading game, let it find a range and then figure out, is there accumulation or distribution going on? It's really not a difficult game. You can see how you can do that. Let it establish a range, and then whatever way you want. Again, I use the MI stuff, not shilling it. I use it because I love it, and I use it because, again, it was right. Okay, so, one of the things we did last week is we said, look, we had this range, and we just saw the smart money is getting the fuck out, yeah? Right. So we had this real high probability that this was going to break down. Now we need to find a new range, probably around here, and we can begin to look at this and say, well, are they accumulating or distributing here? Because if they're accumulating, I would expect price to move up, even if it's just a bounce. If they're continuing to distribute, then the price is going down. So again, finding levels, letting ranges develop, and then looking within those ranges what the informed money is doing. This is my preference. People use things like Wyckoff distribution patterns and all of this stuff. Not against that at all. This is, to me, just hard data that has not led us astray in this move, has not personally led me astray since I started using it a couple of years ago, and again at higher time frames. And I will be looking for this range to establish in this kind of 20.5 to wherever we are now, 22 odd, and I'll be looking to see, are we accumulating or distributing? But my overall game plan hasn't modified. I'm still expecting the bottom to be a long way down. That's why I'm not buying dips. I'm not getting caught up in any of the the bears calling victory here is way premature. Okay, to be clear, yeah. Okay, as the bulls calling victory here is way premature.
Sure.
I'm not into any of it. I'm just going. This is kind of doing what I had expected and hoped it would do. I got some new shorts, again, to be perfectly transparent. The reason that I was looking for this area, I've got shorts up here, I've got shorts up here, and I've got new shorts here. So these are important trades to me as a longer term trader.
Yeah, makes sense. Will you be actively trading in these ranges though? Not accumulation, but I mean, will you still actively trade short time?
I will trade in manually trade in multiple time frames. So again, just for so everybody understands, like I'm net long from further back than this chart starts. Okay. And I trade inverse swap contracts, which means I'm margining short positions with Bitcoin. And so I will take short positions on these kind of half cycle length trades, hopefully bear market trades. Okay. And I will hold these until I think they're the bottom. So I'm going to short, 65 odd, I'm short 47 odd, I'm now short 23 odd. And my intention will be to hold those all the way down, primarily as a hedge to my spot long. Okay, right. So I'm always net long. I'm never net short. I will do those, but also then I'll be trading this, and I've been clicking buttons all morning on kind of scalping and micro scalping and all of this. I then operate high frequency algos. So again, something else I would say to people, if you're into the trading game, is I think it's perfectly logical to have different accounts for trading different time frames. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And you can also then again, I think when this market does bottom, I personally believe it's a generational buy. Again, not advice, that's a personal view, but if I wasn't long from the dawn, spot long from the dawn of time, I would be basically repeating what I'd done from the beginning, which would be I'd be creating a spot long at the bottom of this, playing that on uber long time frames, and then trading against that as price goes up. And this way, I can genuinely never get to a position where I actually incur a loss, because I'm spot long and I'm just trading against that spot long as price goes up.
Makes sense. I love it. Absolutely love it. And you're taking emotions out of it because, first of all, you plan for your longer term trades based on what the data shows you, and secondarily, you automate a lot of what you do in the other
trade. I think even for button clickers, it's emotional, because when you reach these kind of stress points in markets, everybody has got such conviction and like I don't understand. Well, I guess in a way I understand it, but there's all this. Bears in disbelief, bulls in disbelief, bears wrecked, bulls wrecked, and this kind of stuff. And that genuinely hurts people. It hurts them emotionally. It also hurts them financially because, again, just treat it like a game of chess. Yeah. I mean, you don't see the people at chess matches jumping up and down and screaming at every move. Yeah.
Good point.
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe they do.
No, I don't think so.
So, it's a game. It's a brilliant game. I love playing it. It's not as difficult thing. What makes it difficult are the use of emotions. Bitcoin is an asset I love. I don't have a problem shorting it. I'd much prefer to be longing it. Yeah. But if the charts are shorted, I'm clicking the red button.
Well, it's a sound strategy, Sean, because you're actually hedging your upside to make sure you don't drop too far. And when it drops, you make money there too, and you buy more Bitcoin. I mean, it's very pragmatic.
That's exactly it. I mean, I don't think Bitcoin will ever hit my entry price. Okay. And you can always be wrong, but my entry price is way down the charts. Yeah.
$3.
I tried to calculate, but I would imagine the average is about 5 cents. Okay.
Wow. Oh, brilliant.
Shit.
So it's difficult to know after all these years because I was mining and whatever. But and again, I'm always happy to say I was lucky. Yeah. I
Yeah.
got in or whatever. But the point is, I think the market, personal opinion, when we bottom here, is giving other people the opportunity to be lucky and develop this kind of simple strategy, which is hold a spot long in an asset that you think is still going to be there in 10 to 20 years and trade against it. Because genuinely, I make more Bitcoin in bear markets than I do in bull markets, and I make more fiat in bull markets than I do in bear markets, because let's say I'm always 70% spot long and I'm 30% short. So as the price is going down, obviously my net fiat value is going down, but I can print a very significant amount of new Bitcoin for my stack. That because I'm confident there will be a next bull run.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So you're offsetting the losses in the value that you hold spot long with the short gains, and increasing the amount of holdings you have, so that when it goes back to a bull, then you've stacked a lot more on the long side. That's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
And again, I never switch to cash. I'm not again, that's just, not just my Bitcoin maxi psychological thing. There's a whole bunch of tax reasons why I don't want to be flipping into cash. So I use inverse swap contracts, which is Bitcoin margined, Bitcoin in profit. So, dollars don't pass my lips, baby.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Niblets asked, how do catastrophes like Terra Luna and FTX present on that chart?
Yeah, I mean, so great deleveraging events. Okay, so if the drop from 30K to I think it was 15, 16, 17 odd. Yeah. Let me get a clean chart. That if we were to look at, significance events of this horrible bull market, and by the way, of this horrible bear market. Okay, we go. The real end of the bull market, because this is when retail actually left the market en masse. Okay, pullback, trader game. And then when we lost 30, so 30 is the great 3AC Luna debacle. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So it brought us to here. Yeah. We then started going sideways. So if we were to put it on a chart, you can call this Luna 3AC. Okay. FTX is tiny compared to it. Here's FTX. Yeah.
Right.
So when you look at,
we didn't have much left to lose.
Yeah, and again, I know, like, people like narratives. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a technical trader. I find it the singularly most reliable way to trade over the years. So I'm not really that hung up whether this was one thing or another. The technicals called it, yeah. And so, once we lost again this support, we did a retest, then the game was up. This is just a short. But again, remember, we flipped bearish here. Okay, we flipped uber bearish here, and again, the reason being, and part of my suspicion about this move was that when Bitcoin takes resistances, it should just fucking smash through and not stop. Yeah. We faked this, yeah. That's what I call a swing fail pattern. So as soon as this didn't develop any momentum, we'd already kind of come to the view that the bull market was over here. Then I'm just looking for how far down the chart I think this is going to end. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not talking about here. I'm talking about here. And the strange thing I would say, and again for whatever reasons, is that the narratives and the events always seem to match up with this longer term TA.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is, and I know that kind of sounds weird, but it always has done for me, and therefore I ignore all the news, all the narratives. I don't ignore it. I'm cognizant of it, but I'm not trading on the basis of any of it, to be honest. Yeah.
Right.
I for example, would I think I said it during the week. I was very confident that this was going to reject. So far, right. Price can prove me wrong, but so far so good. Yeah. And I think I said, I'm just waiting for the narrative that will allow price to go down. Because there was so much bullish narrative while we were sitting here. Yeah, Jay Powell's gonna, is basically dovish. We're talking disinflationary. Well, yeah, but the price didn't go up. Yeah,
That's right.
And the price has gone down. So I believe that what I would say about technical trading is actually quite simple. I would say that technical trading is highly reliable at these kind of time frames, and that the fact that we sat there for 20 days was more a question of the market looking for a narrative to dump than any question it was going to dump. Because we had positive narratives in those 20 days that didn't cause price to do anything. We were just waiting for the appropriate narrative for it to dump.
That's awesome. That is an awesome way to look at it. I'd not really ever thought about that, but kind of knowing that the market from a technical analysis perspective needed to probably go down from here. And then the idea that we just as humans are kind of looking for the reason for it. That's brilliant. I love that.
Well, the interesting thing too, Brad, is that remember the chart that Sean pulled up a couple of weeks ago on, I think the crypto quant one.
Yep.
When you look at all these, like the FTX move or the Terra Luna stuff, that line was pretty stable across all of it. So it's like you said, like Sean said, it's all retail looking for the excuse to dump,
right?
But yet institutional's not dumping. So to me that's pretty interesting as well. Because they're staying in the game.
Yeah, they haven't bought and they haven't sold, and I think, I would view that as they haven't sold yet. Is what my fear for the market. Yeah, that doesn't mean that they're going to. So I'm just trying to have fun date here. Yeah, that doesn't mean that they're not going to sell, but they've held this. So again, just to give this chart a chance. Fund holdings.
All right.
So let's go all the way back here, back to the beginning of time. So you see the bull market was driven by institutional money. Yeah, retail. I'm always going to say this is not. I'm retail myself. Yeah, we're grist to the mill here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we really don't count. Maybe in some low cap altcoins we count. Bitcoin, Ethereum, we're just nobodies. Yeah, we are not setting the pace. So you had some minor selling. I think that was Tesla offloading a little bit, but there has been no buying. There has been no selling for coming up to 2 years now. So the fact that these institutions haven't sold is a positive, but there's also markets are wicked animals. Yeah.
Yeah.
In that, I wouldn't be surprised to see price get to a point where some of these are forced to sell before we start.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about the sailors of the world. I'm talking about GBTC and some of these where ultimately, if this really does go down to 10K, which again is this kind of range here, I think that you could see these kind of capitulation fed events by these guys offloading.
Right.
Okay. I hope that doesn't happen. But again, there's a view that the bear market can't actually end until these fuckers are forced to sell.
Right.
Interesting. So Sean, real quick on Grayscale. So let's just assume, or let's just look at it both ways. Let's just say they get approval for the spot ETF conversion. Does that generate net buying on the side of funds and institutional, or is that more hyper bullish on the retail side?
I think this is Grayscale here. So again, Grayscale drove the bull market. This tailing off, by the way, is just their 2% management fee. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you're locked in Grayscale. So again, these guys, I would say, with Grayscale was the largest driver of the bull market. Yeah. And as soon as Grayscale stopped buying, again, I don't consider this. I consider this bearish buying strange. I know that sounds weird, but as soon as they stop buying, and again they're just earning their management fee, fair play to them, whatever. The market kind of stalled. So what is incredibly bullish about a spot ETF, I think, is more that it puts, rather than any immediate price effect, it puts Bitcoin beyond regulatory it's become an accepted part of the TradFi world because it's a spot ETF. Yeah.
Yeah. And it becomes part of that TradFi landscape of acceptable institutional investments across the board. Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Now, so some of the real big black swans, so you can see Grayscale still have, 630,000 Bitcoins. If these do get unlocked, that's not going to be good for price. Yeah.
No.
Like, that's going to be really bad because, that's a fuck ton of Bitcoin that could potentially be released in a short period of time. Again, I don't know if that's going to happen. But again, my
that's
point
my
is
favorite. That's my favorite data analytics term. Fuck ton.
Fuck ton is literally a technical trading term. I will say things like I have a literal fuck ton of shorts, and anybody who's a chartist will go, excellent, I like that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love fuck ton. That's beautiful.
So yeah, again, just back to it. We're stopping where we would expect to stop from a chartist standpoint. We're hitting support. We got rejected off resistance so far. We're hitting support, and now, without emotion, we can start looking at the reaction to support. Yes.
Yeah.
If we lose it, there's nothing. This is thin air all the way down to 17K.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If we get back into this range, then things begin to look bullish. But again, this is one of these things you got to practice a bit of patience. See where the range establishes. Is it here? Is it here? It's going to establish somewhere here. And then begin to look at what the informed money is doing right now, in terms of, which is meaningless in many ways. We have kind of conflicting views of what the informed money is doing. We've got one class which has taken two long trades, and we've got the other class that's just selling into it.
Right.
But again, time preference. Let's zoom out to a month and go, this is currently just in the noise regime. Yeah. So again, if we go back to what does accumulation for a bounce look like, it looks like this.
Yeah.
And we're not close to that. So if this is going to bounce, I would expect to see some kind of, significant accumulation going on here in a chop range. To date hasn't happened. I'm not expecting it to happen again. All my technical analysis says, I shouldn't be trying to take profit from my shorts yet. But if we go back into range, then I have to look at that. So, so far so good for the trade I've been spoofing on about for the past, it's been 3 weeks in this range, and getting valid criticism from people, apparently for changing my views all the time. Sorry, euphoric dude, had to get that one back to you, mate. Oh, I'm a bitter old man. I'm joking.
So that's great.
Next week we'll be at 30K, and I'll be going, Jesus, you euphoric dude, you were right.
Yep. Shizzy earlier said, so you are saying Putin will launch a nuke?
Yeah, that's really funny the way people can put words in your mouth. I'm pretty sure I didn't say Putin or nuke anywhere. Okay.
I didn't hear it at any point during the course of this conversation. No,
what narrative do we need? What if CPI was
This is not geopolitical advice.
This is not geopolitical advice at all. I have no idea where the Putin nuke fucking thing is coming from. Shizzy, I don't know. Okay. There you go. 24th.
Chuck says,
okay.
The 24th. Okay, please be patient. Shizzy says, Sean, you are the man, but this reminds me of last February when the perma bulls were saying this is a bear trap. We're going much higher to 100,000.
Again, I'm not responsible for either what other people say or what people interpret what I say. I'm dyslexic as fuck, so I know sometimes I can sound a bit weird. I think you'll find that I
think you're pretty fucking crystal clear.
Yeah, I was never in the 100K camp. Any narrative, including the laser eyes 100K, I tend to go bollocks. It's a trap.
Yeah.
So Shizzy, look, here's what I say to you, dude. Now, look, I do want to be a bull. Yeah, I'd love to, I have a fuck ton of short profit here. I'd love to convince myself that the bottom is in. I'd love to close it, take the money, and go, lovely, I can now just sit back and relax for the next year and a half while it happens, okay? And I agree. I think 10K, I think, sorry, just to go on what Shizzy is saying here, the 10K, 100K. I mean, I'll judge that when and if we get close to it. Okay, Shizzy,
Yeah.
Is it 10? Is it 12? Or is it 6? And I would not rule out 6. In fact, I rule out nothing at the minute. I'm not tied up in the narrative. Again, the way I play the game is...
Well, I think sorry to interrupt you, but I think you've been very clear as well that you will adjust if the data changes, right? I mean, you make decisions based on where you see the support, the resistance, the other factors that you factor into this, who's in and who's not. But if it changes, you can also reassess and apply technical analysis to that change, right? And so you don't buy into a belief narrative that requires you to stick with it no matter how bad it gets, opposite of what you're saying.
My only belief narrative is that is that the reason I spend all these hours in front of all of these screens doing all this analysis is because I'm in this business to make money. And if I believe the bottom is in, I will be taking my profit from my shorts and saying, thank you, market. Okay. If that price turns out to be 24, 10, 6, 12, 13, 8. But again, I think the context of what I'm trying to you mean, right now I can't rule out 10K. I'm not going to rule out 10 to 12. I think 10 to 12 is probable. I think if we lose 13, 13.8 is a big decision point. But I also can't rule out 6. But here's how I trade. And again, I've made it very clear. You have these very obvious decision points. As price gets the decision point, I'm then zooming into the data. Yeah. So if we get to 10 or 12 or 13.8 or whatever number you want, and the data, and in that range, the data tells me the bottom's in, I'm taking the money and running. I'm in this to make money.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're not in this for your ego. Euphoric said, no problem, Sean. I knew you could handle it because you're Irish.
Dude, I believe you're in London, mate, so I'm only giving it back to you, buddy. And I must meet you for a beer when I get over there.
I was going to say, you guys are so, I mean, pretty close there.
Yeah.
Should definitely get together.
I drink beer, Euphoric, but if you do, man, I'll buy you a few pints.
There you go. You know what was when you started this today with that monthly chart? That is such a compelling looking chart, dude. That is just like, wow.
This stuff is not complicated. I'm just I mean, people make it complicated, and you just go look, and you can go through every little bit of price history and go like, what's the fucking surprise? There is no surprise.
No, not at all. I mean, that's just
all you have is
freaking
like torture. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. I
would say the next big decision point is actually there at 20.1. Yeah.
Right. I mean, but that's the thing. When you use this kind of analysis, when you use the data the way you do, you eliminate, kind of the hope and dream and the stress and the suffering to some extent that goes along with, hoping that what you guess is going to happen will happen. Right. And that I think is a critical lesson for everybody to learn that you eliminate the emotions and stress that cause you to make mistakes when you trade the way that you trade. And it's that makes all the difference.
Just to really reinforce that, Brad. I mean, every trade, and I mean this, even if I'm doing 100 scalps a day, before I click the button, I go, am I okay with being wrong?
Yeah, that's good. I love that.
Because if I'm not okay with being wrong, I shouldn't be pushing that button.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't mean I'm going to have a party if I'm wrong. I'm just going, I have a plan for being wrong, and I can still afford a Guinness at the weekend. Yeah,
exactly. So so those are the other factors I think are important to consider. How much are you betting on what you're analyzing and making the decision on? Does it still leave you room to be able to afford the Guinness this weekend? And and then factoring in the things that you are using to make those decisions, right? Those all play into this. But yeah, I love this.
And again, I was talking to Fred about this, so I love, and he was going, look, he does this thing called he pre-stresses. Okay, so he works out all the stresses that could possibly happen. He's already pre-stressed and he has a plan. Yeah, if this happens, then that. Yeah, and I love that way of thinking about it. I don't actually stress at all. That's probably my biggest problem. Yeah, I genuinely just don't. I'm at an age and long enough in this game where I just don't bother stressing. I used to stress about it, and then life is too short, and P&L tends to turn red if you're emotive about it. And again,
that's right.
I am neither, at any point a raging bull or a raging bear. I can be, the way to understand a trader's mindset, I can be bullish for the next 4 hours, bearish for the next day, bullish for the next week, and bearish for the next year, all at the same time. None of these views are inconsistent.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, I tell you, I mean, the reason I automate the fuck out of everything I do when I'm using MTF, our mean reversion indicator, is I know how bad I am at making these decisions. And so for me, I'm sitting here, when I first started using it, I'm like sitting here watching the fucking chart, like the 1 minute chart or the 15-minute chart. And I'm like, you only have to be stupid about that so many times, realizing you'd look up, it's 4 a.m. and you're still watching the same fucking chart, trying to make a decision that you started watching 12 hours before, that you realize that you have to get yourself out of it. Right. I don't have the level of instinct and knowledge that you've gained.
Yeah. I know many traders who take a position and then sit and watch the 1 and 5 and 15-minute candles, feeling euphoric ugly. 1 minute to press the next minute. And I'm going like,
yeah,
hey, this is a really bad recipe to actually make a trade, and being like, it's just not a good way to live your life. Yeah.
And then your wife walks in and you're like snapping at her because you're looking at 1 minute candles or something. Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. It's
about the second vacation if the candle's going with you, dude.
Yeah. Oops, no vacation.
Yeah. And it's a perspective time warp. It fucks up your perspective every second you're watching it that way, because you're no longer thinking about the big picture. You're no longer zoomed out on where you are. And that is what I think is beautiful about the way you do it.
Yeah, again, just start. I'm not, I do manually trade, just for a bit of fun. I manually trade, very low time frames as well. Yeah, but I'm always out of context, and I'm going like, if you want to do that, like, fuck it, why not trade the 1 second candles? What do you want to do here? Yeah, okay. Again, so even when I'm scalping, I will do it in the context.
That's a parabolic climb right there. Look at that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh no!
Imagine you're looking at this candle, yeah, and you're going, holy fuck, like the market, and then you go to the hour candles and go, oh, actually, it's not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's fucking
again,
hilarious.
I'm not. The only point I'd make to people is that it is not rocket science. People try like anything in life, they try to massively overcomplicate technical analysis, and you can do some very sophisticated analysis, but you don't need to.
No.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Niblitz has got it right, yeah. I mean,
Niblitz says, and again, market goes up, you should have bought more. Market goes down, you should have sold more. There's never a happy day.
Yeah,
profit is profit.
Yeah, green is green. Yeah, it doesn't matter what green you missed. And again, remember, if you dunk away 90% of your stack, you've got to 9x your stack to break even. That's fucking tough.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. What's interesting though is that when, what I like about these sessions, Sean, is that, while we're looking at Bitcoin and how it's going to behave, say when it does ladder, go down or go up, then, for a lot of our audience that plays in the shit coins, you have to think of the effect of those moves in Bitcoin and how they affect, the shit coins, which are predominantly retail.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I do. This is my shitcoin chart. It's literally called shitcoins, as you can probably see.
No.
In the corner. Okay, so I do. I've been tracking Kanto and deciding, because now I'm now a Kanto maxi, and deciding where I want to buy some more. Okay, I'm kind of thinking, I'm looking at, so these are weekly candles, and I'm going, yeah, I kind of like the 26 to 35 range personally. I don't know if it's going to hit it, but if the market goes down, so there are periods of time where altcoins will diverge from Bitcoin price action. Okay.
Yeah.
And there are new coins like Kanto that can even run regardless of Bitcoin. But by and large, Bitcoin will determine the directional bias of everything. So
absolutely.
I've been looking at like Kanto. I know absolutely nothing about it. I hear you guys talking about it. I'm looking for a bet for the next cycle, and what the fuck, this seems like a decent bet. So
Yeah,
nice.
I've just been looking and going, look, if Bitcoin does what I think, if it breaks down, I can see 9 cents. Yeah, I'm not saying, 9 cents here. But right now I'm looking to go, look, if it goes down, I'll accumulate some in this kind of 26 to 35 cent range. And if it goes down further, I'll just keep accumulating. I'm not putting a lot into it. But, things like, real simple things like Solana, these again, other real simple techniques, uptrend broken, this thing is fucked. Yeah.
A lot of people would say you don't need to look at the chart for that, right?
Ethereum is the same, uptrend broken, chop sideways. It's fucked. Yeah, I still think you get a chance to buy ETH between $500 and $300 ultimately. I still believe that. I could be wrong. That's what my charts, and again, that's not my ETH position. I still think you'll get sold for maybe $3. And so, yeah, like I'm beginning to, because I do think that in real terms, the bottom, is one or two big moves away. So I am beginning to look at, a slow accumulation process on some shitcoin punts that I'm prepared to hold for a cycle or half a cycle or a cycle.
When you look at the chart for kind of this chop sideways phase, does your gut tell you this is a shorter phase than the last one we just came out of?
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, let me have so many charts open here. In many ways, I would suggest that price just repeats itself. So I would expect we're going to chop wherever we establish a chop range here, for a few days like this. Yeah, maybe go up and do a two test, but I think gravity is calling price here. Again, I'll be happy to change my view if the data shows me otherwise. But using a lot of longer term methods that result in these kind of weirder charts, I've no reason to believe that 15.5 was the bottom or close to the bottom.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
And again, look, if I'm wrong, I'm going to close my shorts and okay. So this is interesting. So
Shizzy asked if Sean could take a look at the DXY chart.
So there are some things in TradFi that I look at for confluence. So first of all, look at VIX. Yeah. So VIX had formed this bullish pattern at the same time that Bitcoin was topping. Yeah. So VIX going up is currently bearish. Yeah. So you can see that the VIX has broken up at the same time Bitcoin was topping. These markets are interrelated. Yeah. If I look at the DXY, exactly the same. We had this bullish pattern printing. Okay. And so ignore this one for the minute. And we're breaking out of it. Yeah. So there was significant confluence with factors that affect commodities like the VIX and the DXY. If you want my longer term view of the VIX, Dixie. Just give my trading view a chance to catch up here. I have too many windows open. I'm hyper bullish on the DXY. Just wait for it to open. Yeah, come on. Sorry, guys. This is
all right. You're not in control.
No, trading view and Chrome are in control, which is kind of weird. Maybe if I shut down some windows here, it will. Let me just do a refresh on this. Sorry, guys. Yeah, let's reload it.
No worries.
Yeah,
All right.
so my longer term view on the Dixie, on the DXY, and again, I use these kind of complicated patterns. So I think I might have shared this before, where we needed to do this retrace. I expect the Dixie to run to 120, and
Wow.
and I think that's the death of the death is the wrong word. This channel is so well formed, it's so perfect. I get rid of all the bullshit wave counts, so it's a bit clearer. That I think the Dixie is primed to do a run for the rest of the year. I like this channel. I like the fact that the center line has been perfectly respected. I like the fact the top and the bottom has been perfectly respected. We should be doing an A, B, C here, I think, in lower time frames that started. And I think that we will go up and have some confluence. So my call on the Dixie, again, not advice for what it's worth, is that we have a confluence of resistances here. And I expect the DXY to touch 120.
So it looks like good.
I expect it to touch the upper side of this.
Yeah. So good vacation, summer vacation season for Americans in Europe. It looks like.
Absolutely, yeah. If Putin doesn't nuke us, apparently, which I
Yeah.
In which case, look west, young man.
Well, at least until the fallout reaches.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of data supporting that too, Sean, and like from IIF and other groups. Actually, it ties into like the U.S. inflation story and the unique difficulties that Europe's in. Between raising rates and and at the same time declining economic output. So it's particularly difficult there. So it's interesting to me when like other forecasters that aren't looking at TA. They're looking at, like economic data, share this same perspective as you. So it's cool.
I mean, the thing I'd say about TA is it's pretty definitive. Yeah. Again, if you keep it simple. I mean, this is simply, it's a bear channel, but that itself, strange enough, is a bullish structure because when it goes up, it should run. And again, I would just say, if you're going to look at multi-assets, look for correlation. So again, this going up is bearish for risk assets. So while this was testing a breakout, we were topping, and the same on the VIX, which is while Bitcoin was doing this. So you see indeed, if you look at the S&P, okay, again, you had the same thing while Bitcoin was testing, was really, getting everybody bullish. We had this kind of triple top on the S&P, but lower lows. Yeah. So, so again, we had this massive cross-market, cross-asset correlation that, and the reason, and again, when I look at this, I go, look, this is not good, losing this trend line, okay, so on the S&P. The VIX looks like it wants to run, which is bad, and the Dixie looks like it wants to run, which is bad. So that's why I'm not looking to. I mean, I have a decent short position from 23, 24. I've some from Meyer. If I thought it was a bottom, I'd be taking the money and running. Yeah, like I'm not tied to. I don't know what we call it, bearized 10K instead of laserized. Yeah, I'm not. I'm tied to profit. Okay. And if something changes, then I'll start, going time to take some of that green P&L. But right now, no. But markets are dynamic. They're living animals, so you can't just establish a target and blindly stick to it.
Right. Absolutely.
Decision points and look for data within those decision points that support or disprove your hypothesis and act accordingly.
Hey, Sean, what's the indicator at the bottom of your charts?
That's wave trends. So the only indicator I have, strange enough, in any of my charts, and I didn't even know why I still keep it. So for anybody who's into I genuinely don't use indicators. I used to. I went through in my early days of trading, I think every indicator on TradingView at the time, and there's a fuck ton of them. But this is wave trends from a guy called Lazy Bear. Lazy Bear is a legend. Okay, so if you want to look at technical indicators, I think Lazy Bear has, I don't know, 100 of them. He publishes the code. You can take the code. You can go through it. So this is wave trends from Lazy Bear, which was one of my favorite momentum indicators.
Okay.
So yeah, wave trends from Lazy Bear. I mean, the RSI is also there. So the purple one is RSI, which I use for divs, because I do believe in, bullish and bearish divergence as well. But yeah, it's that. But I genuinely don't use them much. If you look at my higher time frame stuff, which is where I'm really making decisions, I don't have any indicators. I think they're negative EV. I think that indicators are not. And again, that's not disrespect. I'm sure there's some great indicators, but for the way I trade, I am what they call a naked trader. That doesn't mean I sit here unclothed in front of my screens. It means
Shizzy says, do you guys know of any decent bomb shelters in Florida? On my way. I got bad news for you, Shizzy. We have no basements in Florida because there is no underground. It's water. So, and
Shizzy's new project, nuclear bomb coin or something. Chilling it, dude.
It's the headless cock nuke.
Yeah. Dollar nuke.
So that's it. Again, nothing surprising. We can look at it again next week.
Niblet's going for the dad joke of the day.
Oh, dude.
Of course, Sean doesn't trade naked. He has a fuck ton of shorts.
Do you want to know the frightening thing for anybody listening, and mostly for people who visit? I actually trade exactly like SBF in shorts and a t-shirt.
Right.
And I don't live in Florida, man. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fucking gray and miserable and raining outside.
Dude, if I hate pants, so for me, shorts are the only thing. I as soon as I'm out, if I have to put on jeans or slacks to go somewhere, I'm like, when I get home, I'm like, get me the hell out of this shit.
No, I'm with you. I'm a convert, but it is like I've got a beanbag and everything. I basically am the new SBF.
There you go. Well, the good news is you don't own a centralized exchange. Eamon said, "Oh my God, that's the best dad joke of the day." Calling it, yeah, totally. That Niblets is the master of the puns and dad jokes. You should follow him on Twitter because you will be entertained.
A couple of other things just before I know we're kind of to get off it.
No, you're good.
So for people who, the mempool, the wonderful mempool, is basically the transactions waiting to get onto the Bitcoin blockchain. So what we can see here, the NFT, the Udinals, as they're now being called after Udi, okay, have caused a big spike up in waiting transactions.
Right.
Okay?
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah. Now again, to put some perspective on this, if we look at all-time highs, we're down here. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So when you look at all-time high on the mempool, the reason to mention it, which is kind of funny, the colors represent the fees. So the way this works, the miners will mine the highest fee transactions first. It's a business, yeah. So if somebody's prepared to offer them $20 versus $10, they're going to go for the $20 transaction before they do that. So normally, forgetting all the NFT stuff going on here, is that as the blockchain chain gets busy and people want fast transactions, they tend to pay more. What's happening here is we've got this massive block of people who are basically prepared to pay fuck all for their transactions.
Wow.
So this could take a long time to clear. So
I was going to say, yeah.
If you are, no, it's still not expensive. I mean, we're still down in kind of, you get your transaction processed, pretty fast if you're not going cheapo. But if you are sending some Bitcoin, might be worth just having a quick look at. They're all super low, yeah. And I think that's because everybody's going, well, they're just fucking JPEGs. Yeah, we're not actually assigning any value to them.
Exactly.
Whereas normally when you see this thing, go through the roof, so you've got a year view, you can see the difference here. People are actually trying to move Bitcoin, so they're prepared to pay fees to have it moved. Yeah,
right.
Whereas this current Udi hump, as I'm calling it, is basically everybody's just being super cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Justin asked, Sean, is the leverage over all exchanges still too high for you? What would be a normal level?
Okay, so that's kind of an interesting point. So leverage always get called. So I'm just trying to find my crypto quant here. So, and again, how I think we discussed this before, about how do you exploit an exchange in trouble, which we went through before. So if we just go market indicators. So if we look at across all exchanges, price in white and the estimated leverage ratio, that is the amount of open interest, i.e. trades in play versus the amount of Bitcoin collateral on the exchange.
Right.
Okay, so we're operating at about 0.24 quarter. There's zero problem with that on average, yeah? So basically there's 4 times as much Bitcoin on exchanges versus the amount of open interest. But it does get exchange specific. So if you look, for example, we go to FTX, I think they still have the data here. Before the implosion, you can see what happens to FTX's leverage ratio. Yeah, I think it went to 120x. Yeah,
Holy
so
shit.
120 times more open positions than collateral on exchange, and that's a massive red flag. So
yeah,
I do have one, and I've asked them to clarify the exchange that I'm looking at, which is Bybit, where the exchange leverage ratio is at call it 3, okay, or 2.78 to be exact. Actually, let's bring it into real time. Yeah, call it 2.5. I personally don't believe it's technically feasible that it can go over 2. So and I think 2 is obscene. So it's operating at 2.4, and most of the normal exchanges, so we go to Binance, are operating down at this kind of quarter.
Right.
To me, says that potentially there is paper Bitcoin being used there, that this exchange is not properly reserved.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Did ask Bybit to clarify that. I haven't heard back from them.
Huh. That's very interesting.
But in general, the exchange ratio across, or the leverage ratio across all exchanges is absolutely not worrying whatsoever. Yeah, I mean,
Good.
It's kind of, it's perfectly okay. No issue at all. And FTX washed out a lot of it, but there are some specifically Bybit, which I used to be one of their biggest volume generators, and I literally pulled all my coins when I saw that, and I'm just not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's scary.
They're probably not getting back to you because they're gassing up the jet right now.
Yeah. Again, it's one of these things. I gave them a shot. I went, look, I don't understand how it's even technically possible.
Right.
But if you can explain it to me satisfactorily, I'll do it. But anyway, so that was kind of it. I mean, other than my DeFi journey, so I did some DeFiing during the week, as promised. I'm going to do more next week. So just explain. I'm sure everybody listening to this does this 5 times a day, but you're literally talking to somebody, ex-software engineer, full-time crypto trader, miner, and so on. And I have never done a swap or a bridge in my fucking life. So I said, what I'll do is I will go off and, got MetaMask, which, whatever, I'm not worried about my privacy. Sent, I don't know, $1,000 of ETH or something to it, and try to do a few swaps. So a couple of things that I would say. I managed to send it to myself, I think 3 or 4 times. Again, you can just call this dumbass user error. And I was going, oh, I still have it, and I have less ETH. Okay. So that's not if anything, it's a criticism of me. I did a few swaps, which I found relatively painless, but painfully long time, and that's relative to the CEX experience, that when I want to buy something, I click it and I have it. And anyway, so I got my head around that, and stopped all the basic stupid mistakes. I then tried to bridge some of that over to Canto in the end, but I'm not sure what I was bridging. And this is, and again, this is not a, don't take this anybody take this the wrong way. This is just a genuine observation that, because I didn't have anything on the other side of the bridge couldn't complete. And to me, I'm going, but I'm bridging it to have something on the other side. How the fuck do I get something on the other side to start with? So I managed to lose that little bit of ETH, and again, that's fine, and a learning experience. But I think a lot of this, I would say, is UI stuff. Which is maybe, a big flashing warning going, listen, fucker, you need X on the other side of this, or you're donating your money to Vitalik.
So, here's what I would say. Bridging on other chains right now is much easier than it is on Canto. Cosmos chains in general are more difficult to bridge onto. Canto is a little more convoluted, although there are multiple projects working on making that seamless and easier. For example, Change, that exchange, which has 29 blockchains on it, once some more liquidity is added to it, you'll be able to swap from Ethereum to Canto, or from any chain to Canto. So that's all going to get easier, but your experience on that is not uncommon among people trying to get onto Canto, because it's a multi-step bridge as opposed to what most bridges are, which are, I have these coins on Ethereum, I want them on Canto, hit the button, go there, now they're in Canto.
Again, I don't even think it was Canto, or whatever chain I originally tried, I didn't have anything on that side of the chain.
What platform were you on trying to bridge it?
These are excellent questions. And I was in, fucking around trying it mode.
But you weren't on the Canto website using the bridge.
No, this was all pre-Canto. I was just going, I'll do a few swaps, I'll do a few bridges, I'll become a DeFier, as Shizzy likes to call them. And
defiler.
just do them a few times and figure out what the fuck's happening, and I did figure out what's happening, which is I lost, whatever. That's the nature of the game. Anyway, I'm going to go back to that.
Cool.
During the week, but what I did do is I ended up going to CEX and buying some Canto, and I staked it, and that was all for me smooth, easy. And I'm now staking $1,000 of Canto, and I'm just going to let that run. It's kind of it's a cool little experiment. And next week I'm going to go off and do some borrowing and some lending.
Nice.
And hopefully not lose any more, Russian oligarch coin along the way.
There you go. There you go.
So my honest observation of it all is, again, can equally be applied to Bitcoin, is that there's some basic safety messages that you could flash to gobshites like me, going, you shouldn't be doing this because
you don't have what you need on the other side.
And just the UI stuff. But again, I'm not. It was a fun experience. I'm going to go through. So that's staking dealt with, and learning a few mistakes, and again, it is intimidating a little bit for somebody to come into it.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
Some UI work or whatever, and again, some basic stuff would make because onboarding is a key thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
again,
No, it's look.
it's same criticisms to Bitcoin. Yeah.
We have so much work to do on the UX side of things. It's just painful. It's painful, and unfortunately, everybody's in for their own interests. So it's kind of difficult to get anybody to focus on. The key is it's going to have to come at the wallet level, and so. Like I use Rabby instead of MetaMask. You get much more insights and data from using it than you do in MetaMask. Plus, I don't trust consensus, so that's why I use MetaMask. But we've got a long ways to go. So it's not surprising.
So, quick question, Sean: were you doing the swaps within MetaMask, or were you going to somewhere else?
No, I was on some other site that I'd
Okay.
heard of before. No, I know.
Okay.
I had heard of it. Okay.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't. I have never done any of this in my life ever.
It would
I heard about DeFi Summer a year after it happened.
Yeah, it would be so much fun to watch you do this live, though. That's what would be fun.
Next week, actually.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll try and borrow some money and lend it next week.
Perfect. Love that.
And
Love that.
You guys
Awesome.
can tell me what a complete gobshite I am.
Well, we'll let you try it, and then we'll guide you through, right? I mean, if you have a problem. I think with lending and borrowing, you're going to be pretty okay. But
Yeah.
that's cool. I love it. I think that'll be fun. Euphoric says DeFi is the gateway drug. Next you'll be trading meme coins.
Hey, short punk. That's all I have to say. If you want to name, I'm fucking so short punk at the moment.
So did you buy some Udinals?
No, I didn't, dude. I just have no, I don't. I've no interest. Yeah. They could turn into be, I could, invest, I don't know, half a Bitcoin and make 5,000 Bitcoin. I still wouldn't fucking do it.
That's great. All right, gentlemen, let's wrap it up. Thanks, Sean.
It's been a pleasure as ever.
Valuable, fantastic insights. Yeah, Chuck says actually watching would be very instructive UX feedback. No helping, just be pervy and watch him. Totally will watch him. I think I'm going to pass on the pervy part, but I definitely will watch him. But yeah, absolutely agree. Sean, thank you so much for the fantastic lessons today. As always, you really make all of us think through what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I think it's a tremendous help to the community. So thank you. And thank you for everything you put into the Telegram group. Everybody that's not in the Telegram group, that's the kind of stuff you're missing out on. t.me/mission DeFi, t.me/mission DeFi. Sean is not giving financial advice, neither Joe or myself, nor anyone in the Telegram group. You should make your own decisions. You should risk only money that you don't give a shit about if you have a fuck ton of it. And, please be careful out there. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review us. Make sure you're subscribed. You get the latest episodes. And if you're watching on YouTube, Joe would like you to smash your thumb, and he would like you to subscribe and click the little bell to get alerted when new episodes are coming out. Thank you, Chuck, Euphoric, Justin, Eamon, Shizzy, Niblets. I think that's the gang today. We appreciate and love that you guys are participating and helping us out, asking good questions. Shizzy, we're all going to be counting on you for the nuclear alerts. So when you know they are airborne, please let all of us know. You can come stay in my basement here in Miami. So
at least we'll have time to stick our head between our legs and kiss our asses goodbye.
Yeah, Joe, these kids did not grow up with atomic
Nuclear
bomb
threat.
drills. Yeah, remember we'd all have to go to the hall, put our heads between our knees. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was going to do any good at all. And you're like looking out a window.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. So.
Yeah.
Dental records. That's why they did that.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Sean, thanks so much, buddy. Have a great day.
See you next
Thanks,
week.
Sean.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks, Brad.
Take care,
and thanks
Joe.
everyone for listening. All right, talk to you guys
Bye-bye.
later. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.